Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel. Thank you for joining. And today I would like to show you all how to create sheet layouts and how to create views with these drawings here, and how to add those views to your sheet, and also how to make sure that those views are at the correct scale, and finally how to print your sheet layouts in PDF format. All right, it's a pretty simple process, but there are many ways to do this, and so I'm going to be showing you the most efficient way to do that today. Now, if it's your first time on the channel, thank you for joining. If you want to get better at AutoCAD architecture, then guess what? You're at the right place. I do hope that you will consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, especially if you want to see more content like this one. Everybody else, do me the honors, the favor, the due diligence, and hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Let's make the channel grow. All right, respect. All right, so as you can see here, I have a very small project. This is a wooden frame structure that we drew on the channel recently. If you want to see how this is done, it's a pretty good video. You should check it out. I'm going to drop the link below in the description. Also, I was able to generate this schedule in AutoCAD Architecture again of all the material that we need to create this thing here. And so if you want to see how that is done also, which is another good video, you should check it out. I'm going to drop that in the description below. So check those out. Now, the method I'm going to be showing you today, guys, is specifically beneficial if you're going to be doing a small project like this one here. By looking at this, I don't think we're going to need more than 2 sheets. So you can see that it's very small. If you're doing a project that is large, that requires 10 sheets, 20 sheets, 30 sheets, multiple sheets, there are more efficient ways to manage those sheets. One of such would be to use the sheet set manager. So let me bring that up. All right, so this would be the sheet set manager. I haven't done a video on how to use the sheet set manager as yet, but there's also a second method, which is to use the project navigator, which I'm going to open up one of them just to show you what that looks like, which also helps to manage your sheets. So as you can see here in this particular project, which is a 1-bedroom house that I did on the channel recently, I was able to manage all of my sheets in this one location. And so these are better options to use if you're going to be doing a larger project. But for a small project like this one here, it is simple enough and easier to just create your layouts down at the bottom here. And that's exactly what I'll be doing for this video today. So let's get into it. What I'm going to do is to go over to the paper space here. So click on your first layout. And as you can see, AutoCAD would have provided the first sheet for us. But usually this is not what we want. For this particular project, this sheet would be too big. So I need to get a much smaller size paper. And that's what we're going to do. But before I get into that, if you notice, there's a plus icon right here, and if we click on that, it creates additional layouts. So if you wanted to have multiple sheets, that's how you'd go about that. We can also rename these sheets to whatever we want. We can also delete, which is exactly what I'm gonna do. Delete. All right. So the next step is to create some paper configurations. And how do we go about doing that? We're going to right click. We're going to go up to Page Setup Manager. This is where we can create additional paper configurations. So we can have multiple sizes. We can have different plot styles. We can have different plotters. So if you have 2 different printers and you want to have some drawings printed on that printer over there while others printed on that printer over there, we can set all of that up right here. All right, and so what I'm going to do is to click on New to create a new setup, and I'm going to call this 11 by 17 tabloid. So 11 by 17 is the paper size that I want to have these drawings printed on, and so that's what I have there. That's the name, and I'm going to start from scratch, which is this option here, and I'm going to say OK. And so you can see that that setup is now active. I can go ahead and choose whatever configuration I want down here. So let's go to the printer plotter, and this is where, for this particular configuration, I want it to be printed as a PDF format. So I'm going to scroll down to DWG to PDF. And of course, if you had a printer, like this would be my home printer. If I wanted to print from my home printer, I would select this option. But I don't want to do that. I want to print it out as a PDF. So this is what I'm going to choose. And I'm going to leave that there. And then I'll go down to paper size, and I'll choose the paper size, which of course would be 11 by 17. So let's drop that list down, and I'm going to scroll up, and I'm going to choose full bleed 11 by 17. Select that option. And then we would go down to plot area, plot scale, plot offset, origin, blah, blah, blah. We're going to leave all of this just as it is here. And then we're going to go up to plot style table. And this is where we can select one of these options, whether we want our drawing to be colored or black and white or grayscale. I usually like to print my drawings in black and white, and so I always opt for this option here, monochrome. So I'm going to select that option, and also I'm going to check this box right here. And what this means is that if I were to apply this setup to this sheet, this plot style, black and white, is going to be seen on this sheet. All right. And we're going to see what that looks like in a moment. Don't worry yourself. And then for quality, I'm going to just choose maximum because why not? And then for plot options, I like to have my line weight checked. I like to have my transparency checked, and also these other two checked, and I'm good with that. And then lastly, I'm going to make sure that I have the landscape option checked down here. Once you have all of that set, you're going to hit OK. And now you can see that we have that new configuration set up in here. And guess what? Now we can use this across multiple sheets. We can also create a new one if we want. Let's just do that for fun here. 8.5 by 11. And I'm going to call this letter. And what I can do here is to copy this one to make that one. So I'm going to hit OK. And if you notice, it comes in with all of the previous settings. So all I need to do is to change the paper size to 8.5 by 11 and hit OK. And now I have a brand new configuration. Once you have all of your page set up inside of here, then you would choose the one that you want for your current layout. So I'm going to choose the top one here, and I'm going to say set current. And I'm going to hit close. And as you can see that this paper size has now shrunk to this smaller size, and this is what we want. Also, if you notice, all the drawing is now black and white, which means that my plot style is now active. So what I'm going to do is to delete this view. And I'm going to also delete this view, and I'm going to add a couple of views on this sheet. So once you have your paper size all set, we would go over to layout, and we would go to the layout viewports, and we would click on the rectangle option here and pretty much just draw a rectangular box. And this would give us everything in the model. This is what we call a viewport, as you can see over there. The first thing is that you want to make sure that your viewport is on the def point layer. So I'm going to move that over to def point, and that's important. The second thing would be to reshape our viewport. So right now, I just want this viewport to show me these two elevation views. And once I have that set, then I can set it to the correct scale. So I know that these need to be at a 1/2 inch scale. So I'm going to click on this down arrow here, and I'm going to go down to 1/2 inch, and just like that, it will blow the drawing up to the correct scale. And so that's what I want it to look like. And so if I were to go to Control P to print, and I would go to preview. This is what that would look like. All right, beautiful. Now the only problem I'm having here is that I am not seeing a title block. I'm not seeing my border, all of that good stuff. And of course, that's because I didn't draw any in. But I'm not going to draw any because I have a sheet template that I'm going to use. And so I'm going to show you what that looks like. So if I go to this folder here, you can see that I have a sheet template that I create, or that I actually modified. Let's put it that way. What I did was to copy the AutoCAD default sheet template and make it into my own. And I would recommend that you guys do the same. So I'm going to be dropping this sheet template in the description below so you guys can download it. All right, so I'm going to open this up and show you what it looks like. So once I open it up, you can see that it has three layouts of three different sizes. And each one has its title block and pretty much everything set up in here and ready to go. So what I did was to copy the default AutoCAD sheet template, and I pretty much just went into the block. So I went to block editor and I added my logo in and make a couple of changes and make it my own. So that's what I'm going to recommend that you guys do. Just delete my logo, add your logo in there, and make it your own. Once you make it your own, what you want to do is to save as, and go down to this option here and make sure that you save it as a drawing template. Okay, this option here. Once you do that, you want to navigate to your desktop or wherever you want to save that template file and give it a name, and you would save it. Okay, now once you save it, I'm going to exit out of this. Once you save it, it would be wherever you want to save it, and that's what you're looking at here for mine. And so now that I am back in the original drawing that we started with, I can go to my layout tab here, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to say from template. Okay, so this is the option that I like to use. I'm going to say from template. I'm going to navigate to my template. This is it. I'm going to hit open, and now I have the ability to choose which sheet size I want. Of course, I'm going to be choosing 11 by 17, and I'm going to hit OK. And now you can see that this has been created. So once I click on that sheet, guess what? I have my border, I have my title block, I have everything set and ready to go. So all that is left for me to do really is just to add my views. So I would go to my rectangle tool, I would add my view, which I'm going to just do right now. I'm going to reshape this view to the plan here, and I'm going to set my scale to 1/2 inch, move it over. I'm going to make sure that this is on the depth point layer. And then I'm going to create another view over here. I'm going to get my schedule. My schedule should be at a 1/8 scale. So that's the scale that I want it to be at. So these are going to be on this page, and I am going to rename this page to be Arbor 1, and then I am going to create a new layout again from template, search for my template, open. Okay, go to my new layout, and I'm going to create another view, and this time I want the 2 elevation views. I'm going to set my scale. I'm going to shift it over a little bit, readjust my box to capture everything. Make sure that it is centered on the paper. Looks good. I'm going to rename my layout, Arbor 2. And of course, guys, you would make sure that your title block is all filled out and you know you have the correct information in there. I'm going to put sheet 1 here and sheet number 2. I think this also needs to be placed on the def point layer. So once you have your sheets all set, all we need to do is to plot or print. And so this is where we would type the command publish and hit enter. And it would bring up the publish box. In here, we can delete, rearrange, even add additional views or layouts if we wanted to. But of course, these are the only 2 layouts that I need. And so I'm going to be deleting these other ones here. So highlight them like that. And I'm going to say remove sheets. And so I'm going to leave it at that. You want to make sure that you have PDF selected here. And finally, you also want to make sure that you have this option selected here to open in viewer when done. Okay, if you wanted to add some sort of stamp or if you wanted to put some watermark and stuff like that, you can do that from this menu right here. But for now, I'm going to just say publish. I want to save this on my desktop, which I already have one there, but I'm going to replace it. Yes, and it's doing its thing. And so this is what the end result will look like in PDF format. So you can see that the drawing came out in black and white. You can see that my table is looking good. And if I should go to page 2, my elevations are looking good. My text is looking good. Everything is just perfect. So I just thought of a little addition that I could add to this, which is a 3D view. So what I'm going to do is to move these over a little bit. And I'm going to add an extra view right here. So I'm going to go over to layout. And by the way, guys, you should explore these other 2 options here. For instance, the polygonal gives us the ability to create any shape view that we want. Just like that, I can create any shape view. Also, the object one gives us the ability to, let's say if I had a circle here and I wanted to make this circle into a view, I could use that 3rd option there to create a view out of that circle. All right. So I just wanted to show you that. And also what I'm going to do is to add a rectangle view right here. And I'm going to double click inside. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to highlight these right here. And I'm going to say I want an isometric view of this here. I'm going to make it conceptual or hidden. Let's see, let's work with conceptual. And I'm going to turn off a couple of layers like this guy in the background, the section lines, and I think that looks good. I'm not sure what scale to use here. 3/4, yeah. This is a better scale. Good. And I'm gonna put this on the def point layer as well. And then I'm gonna republish. So type the command publish. I'm gonna delete these 2. Those are what I want. I'm going to hit publish to my desktop. I'm going to replace that one there. Yes. And so this is what I would be left with. And looks really, really good, guys. Really good. I'm going to drop this in the description below if you want to download this as well. So yeah, check it out. See me as that. Alright folks, so that wraps it up for this video today. I hope that you learned something. Remember to download the sheet template, to download the PDF and everything else that I told you to download below. And also, if you're having issues with your dimensions, your annotations, you know, maybe some of the text come out too big or too small or stuff like that, I have the perfect video for you. I'm going to drop them right over there. So, you know, check those videos out as well. And thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. Big up to the patrons on my Patreon page. Respect.